Hello and welcome to day 106 of the Not Alone Today Chronological Bible Written Plan. Today, we'll be reading 2 Samuel chapter 21 using the English Standard Version.
Now there was a famine in the days of David for 3 years, year after year. And David sought the face of the Lord. And the Lord said, "There is blood guilt on Saul and on his house, because he put the Gibeonites to death." So the king called the Gibeonites and spoke to them. Now the Gibeonites were not of the people of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites. Although the people of Israel had sworn to spare them, Saul had sought to strike them down in his zeal for the people of Israel and Judah. And David said to the Gibeonites, "What shall I do for you? And how shall I make atonement that you may bless the heritage of the Lord?" The Gibeonites said to him, "It's not a matter of silver or gold between us and Saul or his house. Neither is it for us to put any man to death in Israel." And he said, "What do you say that I should do for you?" They said to the king, "The man who consumed us and planned to destroy us, so that we should have no place in all the territory of Israel, let 7 of his sons be given to us, so that we may hang them before the Lord at Gibeah of Saul, the chosen of the Lord." And the king said, "I will give them."
But the king spared Mephibosheth, the son of Saul's son, Jonathan, because of the oath of the Lord that was between them, between David and Jonathan the son of Saul. The king took 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, whom she bore to Saul, Ammoni and Mephibosheth, and the 5 sons of Merab, the daughter of Saul, whom she bore to Adriel, the son of Barzillai, the Meholathite. And he gave them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they hanged them on the mountain before the Lord. And the 7 of them perished together. They were put to death in the first days of harvest, at the beginning of barley harvest.
Then Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, took sackcloth and spread it for herself on the rock, from the beginning of harvest until rain fell upon them from the heavens. And she did not allow the birds of the air to come upon them by day, or the beasts of the field by night. When David was told what Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, the concubine of Saul, had done, David went and took the bones of Saul and the bones of his son Jonathan from the men of Jabesh Gilead, who had stolen them from the public square of Bethshan, where the Philistines had hanged them, on the day the Philistines killed Saul on Gilboa. And he brought up from there the bones of Saul and the bones of his son Jonathan, and they gathered the bones of those who were hanged. And they buried the bones of Saul and his son Jonathan in the land of Benjamin in Zelah, in the tomb of Kish his father. And they did all that the king commanded. And after that, God responded to the plea for the land.
There was war again between the Philistines and Israel, and David went down together with his servants, and they fought against the Philistines. And David grew weary, and Ishbi-Benob, one of the descendants of the giants, whose spear weighed 300 shekels of bronze, and who was armed with a new sword, thought to kill David. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, came to his aid and attacked the Philistine and killed him. Then David's men swore to him, "You shall no longer go out with us to battle, lest you quench the lamp of Israel."
After this, there was again war with the Philistines at Gob. Then Sibbecai, the Hushathite, struck down Saph, who was one of the descendants of the giants. And there was again war with the Philistines at Gob, and Elhanan, the son of Jaare-Oregim, the Bethlehemite, struck down Goliath the Gittite, the shaft of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. And there was again war at Gath, where there was a man of great stature who had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in number. And he also was descended from the giants. And when he taunted Israel, Jonathan, the son of Shimei, David's brother, struck him down. These 4 were descended from the giants in Gath, and they fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servants. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. This is a quick recap of chapter 21. We read about how that there was famine in the days of David for 3 years. And God said the way the famine would go was if the blood guilt on Saul's house was atoned for. And this was done by the Gibeonites sacrificing 7 of Saul's son And then Rizpah made sure that no bird came upon their corpse and no beast came close to their dead bodies. And because of this, David gave them a fitting burial with Saul and his son Jonathan. And then we read about a war with the Philistines, how that David went out to fight with them, but he grew weary and almost got killed. Then his men told him that he would no longer go to battle. And they then struck down some of the descendants of the giants. 4 of them were struck down by the hand of David's servants. So did anything stand out to you in this chapter, Kola?
Yes, apart from the very troubling story of these 7 people that were put to death, of course, obviously the Gibeonites were, we remember the story when we read Joshua, the book of Joshua, when they tricked Joshua into a treaty, which apparently Saul had broken and killed many of them. And then, of course, now they saw it as an opportunity to have a comeback. But the part that really stood out to me is the very last verse, which is after the commentary beginning from about verse 15, about the 4 giants in Gath that were killed by David and by the hand of his servants. And it just brought back to mind how David picked 5 smooth stones from the brook when he was going to fight Goliath. And some people have, some preachers, some scholars have suggested that could it be that the reason why he chose 5 is not so much because he doubted whether 1 would be enough, but probably because he could already see that Goliath was not actually the only giant in the camp of the Philistines, but there were 4 more, and he was ready to take down one after the other with each of those stones. It sounds quite, it sounds like a romanticized imagery for victory in a manner of speaking, but whether that was the case or not, what was quite factual historically is what this passage has told us, that actually there were other giants, but in any case, David's mighty men, including David himself, brought them all down one after the other. So yeah, that just stood out to me in a sense.
What stood out to me was the part of the 7 sons that were hanged. And it's the phrase "before the Lord" that really got me worried. Yes, God said there was bloodthirst, blood guilt. But it didn't then say that these 7 sons should be sacrificed to him. And I'm not sure why the Gibeonites chose to sacrifice him to God and on the day of barley harvest. It's quite troubling.
The connection, I mean, of course, it is troubling, and God explicitly forbade human sacrifice in the Pentateuch, as we have seen earlier on. But the Gibeonites obviously were not Jews, and this could be them just fulfilling one of their Amorite rituals, in a manner of speaking, to say when something like this happened, the gods they worship would request for human sacrifice, and this was their own way of using a stone to kill 2 birds, both to get back at the lineage of Saul and also to appease their gods in that sense. But expressly and clearly, God forbids human sacrifice in the law, and I think that still remains the very fact. Not that their death in some sense appeased Yahweh to the end that he then undid the famine because of their death. That would be problematic in light of other things in the scriptures.
It is. And I appreciate what Rizpah did. She only had 2 sons and the people that were hanged, but she tried her best not to let any shamefulness come to them in their death. And it was because of her then that they had fitting burial, as well as Saul and Jonathan.
Indeed.
Yeah.
The story continues as we turn the page. We are coming to the end of David's reign. Obviously, part of the other standout things in that passage is how that they notice that, okay, David is no longer in his prime, and now they are saying, let's ensure that you no longer fight in the front lines, so that the light of Israel, the lamp of Israel, will not be snuffed out. in a manner of speaking. And so yes, we are coming to the end, I should say, of David's tenure, and that latter end is still filled with lots of twists and dramas. So we flip the page on day 107 as we continue in 2 Samuel 20 from 22 all the way to 23 and 1 Chronicles 18a. But till then, just remember,
you're not alone
today.
God bless you.